I do not play a lot of video games. I've always had a commitment problem with titles that are not constantly being filleted by my fellow gamers. Hard R. This is also coupled with the fact that most of the new titles being released are what I can only describe being a direct spit into the consumers' faces, and then proceeding to be offered to have it wiped off with several updates later, fixing issues that should not even be in a game that I paid $79.99 Canadian dollars for. I am constantly on the fence about what I should buy and invest my time into as an adult with a full-time job, and a degree that will be a mousepad I am going to use in 5 years. Lies of P, though, has flipped that ideology on its head for me. NeoWiz is a rather obscure Korean studio, known for the MMOs and,
It's nothing!
Lies of P. Since it is a smaller studio, I would like to assume that they did not have a AAA budget, where they can lavishly add features and exploits no one asked for. But even so, the game was meticulously crafted into what I would like to call a not-so-hidden gem. I have always had a little problem with the Soulslike genre.
Dark Souls 3. That was a good game.
Dark Souls 3 is a good game. You kidding. You are actually kidding. What if I click them flying after I done all this? Oh! What the fuck? No.
They deleted your fucking game. They deleted your fucking game.
Being that they will always be standing against the giants. Being the origin point themselves, From Software, not to say that FromSoft don't have their misses, but it is literally in the fucking name. It is a Soulslike. I cannot help but compare these games to the amazing experiences I've had with Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and Bloodborne. Lies of P was definitely no exception. Several times I caught myself thinking that this certain action is familiar. It is probably a Dark Souls mechanic that they copied. This is to say that Lies of P narrows down the Soulsborne formula, almost to a T. Even with the limited budget they allegedly had during the development of the game, from the exploration to the shortcuts, the Easter eggs, boss runbacks, swamp area, just to name a few things. This should go without saying, but I absolutely adore this game. Lies of P is what one should expect a title in 2023 to be. A fully fleshed out experience that satiates the consumer's need for a good game in what seems to be like a sea full of jog slop. The game is very gorgeous. I am not usually big on ultra-realistic graphics in video games, as it is a mere facade. Lies of P, however, has a unique, very unique art direction that feels comforting. A hug from the art team to the consumers almost. From the sketches and concept arts from the Lies of P website, you can tell that they've poured their hearts and souls into these designs. And I say, I am morally obliged to support any prequels that will come out. Like a white stepfather to a mixed African-American descent son from his white suburban mother. The audio design team needs a raise. The ambient noise in the background as you go through the city of Krat adds to the suspension of the story, as anything can happen. Feelings are always there. The growling of the puppets, the cogs, and gears running against one another as they try to swing at you can be heard, which adds to the uncanny feelings these motherfuckers can have. Music is generally amazing. Nothing beats running back to the fat fucking clown puppet to fascination, on the verge of tears, and being reminded that this is the last time you get to enjoy this piece of music. The story of Lies of P takes place in Krat. The city of Krat used to be beautiful and lively, bustling with wealth and technological advances, with almost every manual task being replaced by automated puppets, until an event called the Puppet Frenzy occurred. Said automated puppets became violent and attacked the humans, whom they were supposed to serve. Krat has fallen. Thousands must die. And now you have to be the one to save it, whilst mopping up the shit show in Krat Janny style. You are also exploring the scenery that surrounds this enigmatic city. Places like Venigni's work, St. Frangelico's Cathedral, the Barren Swamp, and Arch Abbey. These areas are not much better than Krat, as the puppet frenzy also impacted them, as well as people who are infected with a disease called petrification. These locations give you the feeling that nowhere else is safe, and that feeling of relief when you return to Hotel Krat is that much more amplified. Firelink Shrine is a resting place, but Hotel Krat is home. The storytelling is a little bit on the nose, but I do believe for how linear Krat City is, we have a good sense of the story without being sidetracked and confused, comparatively to Souls titles, which are notorious for environmental storytelling, also known as telling the player fuck all. There are good twists and turns throughout the story, which are further enhanced with the more you replay the game. I would 100% recommend playing New Game Plus here to take in the full experience. As per the name of the game, you play as P, a boy based off the titular character from the children's story Pinocchio. Much like Pinocchio, you are not a real human. While playing through this story, you explore your humanity, which is a key mechanic in this game, by lying. Lying, in the original Pinocchio, is initially noted to be a horrible act because in order to become a real boy, you need to tell the truth. However, one could say that you are actively practicing a human trait by lying, as only humans can lie. This is highlighted as going against the fourth law of the Grand Covenant, being puppets cannot lie. As the story progresses and as you lie, your internal springs will be reacting, which is when you start to feel the warmth of your heart. I believe that this piece of narrative is beautifully woven into the game without feeling like a forced trope. Throughout the story, you will meet and befriend a lot of NPCs, and with that comes a lot of NPC quests. Following the Miyazaki school of thought, most quests are fetch quests, and most of them are awful, lame, and uninspiring. With a few good exceptions, one of the NPC factions that you will meet are the Stalkers, that take up all of the NPC boss fights. And without exaggerating, I believe this is where the game hits its first low. NPC boss fights are almost always annoying to me, and not many of them serve any purpose in the progression of the story and gameplay. I hated most of them, but you, my viewer, might have an easier time, and might not see them as much of a hurdle at all, tying it to how you play the game. There is an impressive amount of diversity in the builds, weapons, playstyles, and the ways that you approach a fight. All of these vary a lot from the start of a playthrough to its end. I am currently running a motivity build, which is the game's version of a strength build. I could have switched between 4 different builds in this playthrough, and I had to adapt how I would run into a boss fight. This is because the game is very generous with how you can re-roll your stats. If you don't like how you distributed your ever so precious stats point, you can just simply re-roll it. It is so broken that I can fight a boss, rage quit, and re-roll my stats into a technique build. Arguably the easiest way to play the game to me, and defeat said boss. Then you just re-roll it back into the original motivity build. With a cost so low, I was baffled at how easy it was to just cheat my way through this game sometimes. It is like you just bargain the perfect male facial structure every single day without having to do the retarded looks maxing shit that the teenagers are doing. On top of being able to reroll your stats, you also unlock the ability to reroll your P organs. Yes, they are called P organs. I would like to take a minute to talk about this specific mechanic of the game. In most traditional Souls games, you have the ability to level up, learning a couple pyromancy techniques, magics, or maybe even miracles, if you are feeling fancy. But that is about the extent of it. With P organs, you invest quartz into skills, which then makes significant differences in your gameplay. As within the skills you are investing the quartz in, they also slowly upgrade your attack, survival, ability, and consumables. All of them can be incredibly helpful and fun, and on top of that, you can have up to 5 P organ nodes in your first playthrough. In my first new game, I did not upgrade Link Dodge, and fittingly, I initially thought the dodging system was fucking awful. Until about 25 hours into the game, when I realized that it is an essential upgrade. Imagine, if you will, that your ability to ejaculate is locked behind a paywall, and you have been edging for 25 hours. This is fine when your combat is revolved around parrying and blocking, but as much of a surprise as it would be, I, in fact, like my ability to release. P organs are awesome, and the fact you can re-roll the skill tree allows me to make wacky plays and experiment with playstyles that are so stupid and fun. Next up is Legion's Army, which are pretty much the incantations, magics, and miracles of this game. You can punch really hard, use a shield, blow fire, shoot electricity, fire bullets, set up landmines, and throw acid at your enemy. These are incredibly fun to use, but I have not found myself using much of them, aside from panic shielding myself facing faster bosses like Laxasia. They can be upgraded up to 3 times, excluding the time you craft them, and I can see them being really fun to use, but I have yet to experience all of their usage. Much like P organs and other stats, they can also be re-rolled. What a surprise. The highlights of this Souls-like game, and even the Soulsborne games for me, have always been overcoming the ridiculously difficult foes, bosses, and challenges. Let's talk bosses. The difficulty is, most of the time, tasteful. As much as I am going to insult the boss designs, and how unfair they can feel at the time, this is genuinely one of the only boss rosters that I can say are incredibly well designed. At no point of fighting these bosses have I ever thought that I should give up and use a cheese strat. I just get somewhat annoyed, I guess. But even then, I am almost always eager to run back and fight them again. I had a suspicion throughout the entire playthrough that at some point the bosses would be bad and it would start to fall off in terms of quality. And I'm gladly proven wrong. Keep in mind that the rating above 5 is good in my book, and my bar is rather low. Alright, rapid fire boss ranking. S tier, Romeo, 10 out of 10. Tastefully difficult, good boss design, incredible lore involvement, and a tragic twist. Laxasia, 9 out of 10. Very tastefully difficult. Ooga. Less lore involvement than she should be. A tier, Nameless Puppet, 8.5 out of 10. Surprisingly underwhelming. More lore involvement than he should have. Good moveset. Scrapped Watchman, 7.5 out of 10. A good fight for the stage of the game. Exploitable weakness. Green Swamp Monster, 8 out of 10. Just a good boss that has a clear weaknesses without being too easy. Should have had more lore involvement. Corrupted Parade Master, 7.6 out of 10. A bit easy. Eldest Brother of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood, 7.1 out of 10. Can be annoying, too much lore involvement, considering he was dead half of the game. B tier, Simon Manus, 7 out of 10. Too much lore involvement, and a surprisingly easy boss for the stage of the game he was in. Parade Master, 7 out of 10. Good introduction boss. Fuoko, 6.5 out of 10. He's alright, has one hit kill move, which is horseshit. Fallen Archbishop, Andreas, 6 out of 10. Just above average, a spike in difficulty for sure, but nothing unmanageable. C tier, Victor, 5 out of 10. Middle of the road. Walker of the Illusion, 5 out of 10. Middle of the road. D tier, Black Rabbit Brotherhood, 4.5 out of 10. A gank fight, too easy or too hard, depends on RNG, annoying voice lines and accents. Too much going on at once. Phantom Summon is almost required whilst fighting these dickheads. Door Guardian, 3 out of 10, at least he is a real boss. F tier, Hot garbage, avoidable fights that have some lore involvement, but why the fuck would you even fight these when half of them can be run past without any real consequences? Almost all bosses in this tier have garbage movesets and annoying fighting styles. Whilst being in PC fights, they're spongy as fuck, which annoys the shit out of me when I fight them. The only notable characters were the Fox Mask and Cat Mask, right next to each other, because at least they don't try to be annoying, and you can give them gold fruit to not fight them and have them help you. Lies of P's biggest strengths are always at full display. Even though the bad and the ugly can be incredibly frustrating, you only experience it makes up around 1/8 of the game at most, despite my woes. This game is a product of love, which is sadly hard to come by at the time of me writing this script. I believe the flaws came from an experience, and I would love to see Lies of P succeed even further when the DLC and its sequels come out. I did not get my hands on many titles coming out in 2023, as I am picky with what I play, and when there are too many options, I almost always revert back to being a hard-stuck Platinum League player.
Hey, whoa! Whoa!
However, Lies of P struck a chord in me, and swept me up with incredible gameplay, amazing storytelling, and one of the best boss rosters I've seen in a game, and I believe it can go toe-to-toe with the big boys coming straight out of FromSoft. This game is the underdog, the femcil pussy that you have never tried before, and when you do, it grips even harder than a silverback gorilla holding onto a child in 2016. The fact that this game barely got a nomination for any awards is a travesty, and pissed me off more than I would have liked. That being said, I will continue to dick ride this game until it gets the recognition it deserves. Lies of P, 10 out of 10.